probably the most popular parts of our show is gaming, where we've been talking about the different generations of wrestling games. But I guess the topic we've put in this thread this time actually is something we discussed and discovered last time round, which was how often have women appeared on the front cover of a wrestling game? Because we were talking about the fact that Charlotte does not appear on the front cover of 2K19, which I think is a bit of a disappointment, really, having a male and a female counterpart on the front cover. And so when we were looking back and putting the covers on the video post-editing the last one, we found that Day of Reckoning had female front covers of Trish and Stacy Keibler. And then we found some more where females have been the front cover character of a wrestling game. So shall we start there as a good part? Because you've obviously done the research here and put some good ones down here.
Yeah, it took me quite some time. I went through every game cover that I could think of, dating back to the 80s. And I made a list of everybody that was on the covers and where the women wrestlers were. And it's not a bad list, but when you consider the wrestling games go back to about 84 all the way up to present day, it's not the hugest list. And the Day of Reckoning ones are probably the most prominent women wrestlers on the front.
Yeah,
they
are
pretty much front and center.
Trish is half the front cover. I was like, wow, That's cool as fuck. I want that cover.
And Stacy Keibler is bang center, and there's other wrestlers around.
Yeah, and they're fade to black. They're barely noticeable. You can kind of notice it's Triple H and you can notice it's Stone Cold and The Rock, but actually, they're faded almost to black, where she is this stunning kind of angel with white lights around it. It looks really quite cool. Yeah. So, do you want to flow down this list, man? Tell everyone what we have. So, all the times that women have appeared.
The early SmackDown games had Chyna on the front. Tori Wilson managed to grace the US version of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. The WWF Raw on the 16-bit consoles had Luna Vachon on the front.
Did.
And even a very early arcade game, WWF Superstars. I think this was like the very early 90s. Miss Elizabeth was on the side of the cabinet.
Wow. Because I guess Miss Elizabeth, she was the queen of wrestling. Everyone loved and adored her, and hence the reason why everyone was so fully invested in her marriage to Macho Man, which I guess is considered to be the hallmark of marriages on wrestling shows as a standard. She is the standard bearer.
It was the only nice wedding in wrestling.
Yeah, because every one of them has always got a bit bad, hasn't it?
Yeah, Kane jumps out and starts tombstoning priests and wrecking things, or
someone goes through the cake,
or Triple H kidnaps the bride and marries her in secret while she's comatose and apparently whispering under your voice, "I sure do." Will apparently do okay for a drive-through wedding. As Steph.
Talking of weddings, right? Do you remember the Billy and Chuck wedding?
Yes.
I know.
Yes, I do.
I can remember how big that was. I can remember seeing that on like mainstream magazines where I was working at the time. It was on the front cover of like Cosmopolitan or something of the first gay wedding on national mainstream TV, and I'm like, man, the press these guys have got of this is huge.
Yes.
And if you listen to Eric Bischoff talk about that event, apparently only Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon knew that he was the priest, and everyone just reacted as is because no one knew. That's genius.
Do you know the hilarious thing was as well? And Eric Bischoff has even said this. He says he knows a couple of the referees at that time because there was still WCW referees in WWE. And as he was dressed up as the old man, he knew one of the referees had their children, and he said he was quite a almost inappropriately mean old man to them. And the referee was like, "Oh, who's this mean old bastard?"
That's great.
He's being mean to his kids, and he had no idea it was him. That was some fantastic makeup work. It was a tremendous angle.
Yeah.
I mean, the effort the WWE put into that. I mean, when the WWE don't want you to know, when they really want a surprise, you are not going to know.
No, they pulled out all the stops on that one. And it's memorable. We're still talking about Billy and Chuck, Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo getting married on TV. What the?
That was 2002, 16 years ago. I am old.
Yeah, dude. That. I was smiling about it and going, yeah, that's like it was 20 years. That crazy bastards. So,
All
dude.
those rascals.
So, come back to this list, man. What's back on the sensible list of female wrestling? Before we
Well,
got
after
distracted.
the ones already mentioned, there was WWF Betrayal. I think that was on one of the Game Boys.
Was that
And
the
Stephanie McMahon's on there.
was that
And
like
after that,
was that
it
the
is a
scrolling
series
beat
of SNES games from Japan.
was that like the scrolling beat 'em up one?
I'm not
WWF Betrayal.
sure. I think it was.
It wasn't quite Streets of Rage, but you kind of went left to right and just beat people up and slap
Yeah,
pedigrees on people.
it sounds about right.
So yeah, in terms of the Western releases, WWE has done. It's put some females on its covers, but not really trusted them as their main stars. But I guess it's not really until the Revolution now that women have taken to the forefront of the show, I guess. But yeah, it's quite a surprise how only a few have.
Speaking of women's wrestling as well, our friends in the WWE have decided that they have announced another major match for WWF Evolution. Lita will be facing Mickey James.
Classic match. I was saying that's a rematch from back in the day, or did that not happen? Did they miss each other?
No, it did happen. If you think back, Lita was the retirement match for Trish Stratus, and then 1 month later, Mickey James was the retirement match for Lita.
Wow. And that's got to be what, 2006? 6, 7, yeah. Whew, that's some time ago. And Lita looks as hot as ever, and Mickey is still as talented as ever. Goes married to Nick Aldis, the former NWA champion.
I know, that is so crazy.
It is. Man,
A good old country western singer.
yeah, she is quite. I don't know how successful she is, but I guess.
Apparently her albums did quite well.
But I guess when you got your brand name associated with wrestling, you bring your wrestling fans as well as the country western fans. So I guess it's a win-win all round. And
Just don't mention them really early days that she was doing other things.
Is she Canadian?
No, she's American.
Okay.
I'm sure she's American.
Yeah, I got a few friends who live up in Canada where like country and western actually is huge. Apparently huge in Canada. No idea why.
Do you know the crazy thing is, country and western music is the biggest genre of music in the world.
It's crazy, isn't it?
What the fuck?
I know.
How is that even? How is that even right?
Yeah, I guess a bit of Johnny Cash goes a long way, Just, so I'm browsing down these other wrestling titles, right, where women have been featured prominently on the front cover. And I guess you are right. It's Fire Pro Wrestling effectively, of the women's editions, because on the SNES as the episode we covered a few episodes ago, Fire Pro Wrestling released tons of titles on the SNES. There was lots of different Yoshipuro titles on the SNES, and of course there was lots of female equivalents of those. Queen of Queens, All Star, Dream Slam. I can't even pronounce that. Fire Pro Yoshi, Yoshipuro, and lots of titles. And so women have not had their fair run in terms of front cover, and it is disappointing that Charlotte perhaps hasn't got to 2K19. But will that change next year? Do you think?
Do you know what? I think it might change next year. I'm fairly confident the WWE will go with Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey and main event WrestleMania. And if they do, that definitely one of them two has to be on the cover. I would really think that would be the case.
Yeah, that's true. So do you think it'll be the winner of WrestleMania ends up on that cover? Because it's going to be Ronda, right? She's going to go over.
I would think so, but then again, I thought this year I didn't see Charlotte going over Asuka. I really didn't.
That was a good match as well. I did enjoy that.
It was a very good match. But
Well,
I really did think that was going to be Asuka's night.
maybe they're gonna throw her on the. She's on the road to revenge, the road to recovery, and to redemption to win her title for the next year's WrestleMania. Perhaps going against someone like Becky Lynch or something.
Well, the WWE did do a bit of damage with her losing clean to Carmella over the SmackDown Women's title. I say clean, underhanded tactics, but she still pinned her.
Yeah, you know the one match I never understood what they did with Asuka. I think it was a second or third match on TV, where she's obviously just been the undefeated NXT champion. She come back, and then she has a match where she fights Emma, who's now left, Emelina, and it's a match where they go toe to toe, hold for hold, as if they're equals. But Asuka does eventually get the pin, but she has to do like a schoolgirl roll up to get the pin in the end. And I'm like, this is the dominant champion Asuka. What the hell did they do with her?
And I think that was Emma's last match as well.
It really was,
for
yeah.
the WWE.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
this,
I know what you mean. I mean, to be honest, Steve Austin thought the same thing when they brought Nakamura into NXT for Sami Zayn.
yeah, bizarre. Just let's roll over. Why? Give me something consistency. No.
Although Nakamura versus Zayn on NXT Takeover is one of my favorite matches. That was such a good match.
Do you think there's going to be more takeovers now? Now we have the UK NXT as well.
I don't know. It's difficult to say. I don't know if they're just going to bring the UK talent over for the takeovers to give them that US exposure and extend it for an hour, or go all out and just bring more takeovers. Maybe a UK one and then a US one.
Have they done a UK takeover already?
Yes, London.
Right. Okay.
I'm fairly sure it was where Finn Balor first retained his title against Samoa Joe.
Okay, that makes sense. So I guess he was like the hometown hero, even though it's the UK, he's Ireland, but UK.
Yeah, he came dressed as Jack the Ripper.
Quality. Good. I didn't know that. That's cool. I should check that out.
Definitely. It's a December event as well. I think it's 2016.
So that reminds me.
Fairly sure it was
So
2016.
catching SmackDown this past week. So he was the demon again. I really think they should save
Yes.
that. They should save that for them super events where he has to go above and beyond, like the Japanese super avalanche finishers. He should go above and beyond to do his finisher, as opposed to he's the demon again now on TV. Strange.
Demon on TV. No, that was SummerSlam, wasn't
Was
it?
it?
Yeah, it was SummerSlam when it went over Corbin. I can see how you'd make that mistake considering the Finn Balor versus Corbin seems to be this never-ending feud, which
Yeah, it kind of rolls into each other.
absolutely no one asked for.
Yeah. Constable. Yeah. Whatever his name is. Constable Corbin.
Corbin. Although he's now the acting GM of Raw since they sent Kurt home. I think, well, he's training for some more matches. Yes.
But he's now an antagonistic manager, isn't he? Being the
Yes, of course.
No, we like that. We like guys we want to, because that means we got some face characters who are now going to be fighting and biting and trying to get ahead, and he just keeps chopping them and chopping them down for weeks on end until eventually there's the face that goes over, and everyone just starts cheering.
It's true, and also the fact that the WWE want to make a big deal of Corbin, so it's a good way to get him on TV, get him under people's skin, and he can talk.
He can.
He doesn't do horrible matches. He's not screen. It's just that I don't know if anybody else agrees with this, but Corbin versus Balor, it's been done now, and it's done. Can we all move along? Can we all, there's nothing to see here. Everybody just move along.
Yeah, some feuds they burn it really too quickly. It's like I don't want to see any more of this. It needs to stop.
Yes, there's certain rivalries that can keep going, and you're happy for it to go on. Jericho, Michaels, at any time ever.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
They can have their 1 month event. Stroke. Oh, it's gone over into 4.
It's fine.
Yeah, and we're all good with that. Thank you.
Man, so Shall we draw to a close this time round then? Shall we?
Yes.
Shall we bring it to
Yes,
it? I think we've covered everything now, so I guess that is us. So, dude, we hope you've stayed with us for our, I guess what is it, 5th, 6th episode? I don't know. I'm not really keeping count. This is just us going with the flow and what comes to mind. So this is Wrestle DX Alpha. So catch us next time. That's Kev. I'm Kristian, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Yeah, it's women's wrestling, right? It was always it's the snapmare with the hair. Fucking hate it.
The hair.
Hate it. I utterly hate that. Of all moves, hate that the most.